Hey YouTube, it's me again, and today we're going to be making some apple crisp. I've laid out everything we're going to need. We're going to start out with obviously some apples, some lemons to keep our apples from browning as we work. I'm going to need some sugar to put on our apples for a little flavor. Usually I have some orange juice, but today I don't, so I'm just going to turn these guys into juice. I'm going to need some brown sugar, some flour, some butter, and some oatmeal. I've got a little bit of cinnamon in this little guy over here too for flavor. I don't usually use a lot or any, but it's an option that you can go with. So I'm just going to clean up my mess, and we'll be back in just a moment. So I've juiced the apples. All I did really was run them in here. I put them in the machine, run the thing until they became a big mess, and I just strained it to take the pulp out. Again, there's some things I'm just not going to show you So, first thing you need to do is peel the apples. I'm going to go ahead and peel one for you, but I'm not going to peel them all in front of you because, again, you know, I don't need to peel all the apples. I'm just going to do this one here real quick. I'm going to peel it, I'm going to cut it, show you approximately what you want to do with it, and then I'll pause the camera again, and I will do the rest. And then we'll come back once that is done. So, you'll also notice I don't tend to use a smaller knife. I use a bigger knife, but you do what you need to do. If you don't have a big knife or you don't like big knives, just use the knife you want. And then, I also have an apple corer, but I find that they're quite wasteful. So there you go. Now, and then you might want to cut that again in two, throw that in the pot, and you're only throwing it in the juice to keep it from going brown or what we call rusting. So, as I said, I'm not going to bore you with the details of peeling a lot of apples. I will say that my particular recipe I'll be doing today is going to be about 10 apples, 8, 10 apples. We'll see. I need to make a small one to go, so I'll have to decide as I go. And that is how you cut and prep the apples. So, as I said, I'm going to stop the camera, and we'll be back when all the apples are done. Okay, before we move on to finishing the prep, just wanted to show you a quick trick. If you happen to have a Parisian knife, which is one of these melon ballers, a quick trick for peeling your apples is to use the melon baller. You come up to the head, cut it out, go out to the foot, cut that out, cut your apple in half, and you do the same thing with the core. You just scoop it out, boom, much less waste than one of those apple cores which you punch right through. Okay, so we got the hard part done. Got all the apples all cut up and ready to go. So, add a little bit of sugar. I've got about I don't know, this is about 1/3 of a cup. I'm not putting it all in there. You don't need to do that. Then we're going to add ourselves just a little bit of flour to thicken. Again, maybe a couple of tablespoons worth. I'm just going to eyeball it for now. Give it a toss. Spread everything around. You'll notice that all the apple juice, not apple juice, but the orange juice and lemon juice are all over the apples, and basically it looks like there's none, but don't worry, it's in there. And there you go. Those are the apples. Next part is to make the crisp part. And for that, you're going to need the oatmeal, you're going to need the brown sugar, you're going to use up the rest of this flour, and we're going to use some butter. Not all this butter, but we're going to use some butter. So I went ahead and microwaved the butter. Makes it easier to work with. And I call this my 1, 2, 3 recipe. Basically, you start out with 1 part flour with an equal part butter, 2 parts brown sugar, and 3 parts oatmeal. And this is completely scalable. This goes for about 6 to 8 apples depending on the size of the apples. You can use cups, you can use liters, you can use, it doesn't really matter. You can use the measuring scale you want. You can just, if you don't have any measuring cups and you still want to go 1, 2, 3, you take the container and 1 part, and then you just empty it out. You grab 2 parts of the brown sugar. And that's basically how it works. So we've got ourselves some oatmeal. You just throw that all in there. Throw your brown sugar in there. And then you just throw the flour in there. I like to give that a little stir before I throw in the, make sure everything's all broken up. Give it a stir so it's pretty homogeneous. This also brings out all the pieces. This is all brown sugar. It's a little bit dried out, so it might be a little bit less cooperative. But you just break it up. It's not a very big deal. This piece here seems to be a bit of a difficulty, but we'll take care of that. Okay, so got all the lumps broken up. Looks a lot better. So we've got our oatmeal, our brown sugar, and our butter, and our flour in here. And then just give it a good mix. Now you can go ahead and throw your hands in there if you don't mind working with your hands. I'm not going to do that just because it probably won't look too good on the camera. Give it a good stir. Now what's great about this particular mix, or any mix that resembles this, it's kind of like a granola, is that if you do make too much, you just put it in a container and freeze it. It'll be ready for next time. This looks pretty good. Nice and homogeneous. Awesome. There we go. So, I already went ahead and put the apples in a container. You can use a pie plate if you like, if you want something a little bit thinner, but I like lots of apple with some granola on top, but you might want less granola and something a little bit more manageable in size. But this is how I like it. Another thing I like to do is I will take some of the mix itself and throw it in the pot the butter was in, and I'll just give it a stir. And that pretty much gets every last bit of butter out of the bowl. Save a couple of drops maybe, and then you get yourself a working space. Next thing you do, it's pretty obvious. Put some of the granola on top. I'll just use a cleanish. This is the bowl I had the flour in. You use that just so you're not scooping stuff. And there you go. You can go ahead and pack it down. Don't be afraid to tamp. There we go. Excellent. Now I'm using large flakes of oatmeal, but you can use instant oatmeal or quick cook oatmeal or really any oatmeal that you want. Now I've also got this little guy, and that's not because I did too many apples. It's because my neighbor did me a favor, and I'm going to thank him with a little bit of apple crisp. And just so it's not a messy presentation, he's going to get his own little portion. And as you can see, bingo, bango, bongo. And that is ready for the oven. Like I said, you got too much, no big deal. I'm just going to throw this in a freezer container or a bag. It doesn't really matter. And it'll be ready for next time. Save myself a lot of trouble. I'm going to go ahead and throw these in the oven. And when it's ready, I will be back to show you the results. And we're back. So I just pulled these guys out of the oven. Well, I just pulled this guy here out of the oven. This one here took about 25 minutes. And beautiful. This one was in there a little bit longer. The edges got a little bit crispy, but that's just fine. Nothing wrong with that. It was in there for about an hour. It's quite thick, and it's still very hot too. It smells wonderful. So this was in a 350-degree oven. Like I said, about an hour for the big one. And we've got ourselves a couple of apple crisps. I will be leaving the complete recipe in the description below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Make requests if there's anything you'd like me to make for you. And we'll catch you in the next one.